my question is, as the cousins of the rest of local government in New Zealand, do we note that somewhere? Because it's almost like we're kind of sitting pretty, going, well, we're already stuck with these, whether we like them or not. But we kind of acknowledge to the rest of New Zealand this is quite a big direction that they're being required to suck up. Please note, local government remit, blah, blah.
Okay, so we amend
Sorry, I
it
haven't got a recommendation.
we can amend it to include that.
The submission's silent at present, but we could certainly
We'll
provide something.
Thank you.
Right, I'm going to move the recommendation. Sorry? Oh, Councillor Lee, do you have something else?
I want to talk to it once you do that.
Well, I want to
Mr.
move the
Chairman.
recommendation that we approve this council submission to the LGA 2000. Oh, it's up there. Amendment Bill number 2 as tabled at the meeting. Delegate authority to the chair and the deputy chair of this committee to approve any final amendments to the submission resulting from changes agreed at the meeting and/or minor editorial changes. And I just say that it has been worked through quite a lot with councillors. So, Councillor Lee, just to speak to it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps it was because it was called the Better Local Services Bill that I wasn't that aware of what was happening, but my recent study of the bill certainly has worried me, and I don't want to go into arguments about when would be timely for councillors to view the draft submission to a significant act of Parliament, but I've made the point. Can I say, Mr. Chairman, that there are some good things in this bill, but largely I believe at Local Government New Zealand and our sister organisations are quite right to be deeply concerned about it. There's a philosophy, if I could call it that, or an assumption running through this proposed legislation that assumes that CCOs, and CCOs indeed that are directed by non-elected people, are more efficient at carrying out core local government business than experienced councillors who are directly accountable to the electorate. I actually challenge that assumption from personal experience. Setting up CCOs is one thing, and there's a whole plethora of CCOs in this bill, but prohibiting elected councillors from being on their own CCOs, I think is just completely undemocratic. In terms of the Local Government Commission, again, there are some positive aspects of this, but essentially it comes back to the underlying philosophy, essentially neoliberalism in terms of, first of all, directives to set up CCOs, but secondly, despite certain checks and balances, this is very much about increasing the power of the minister and of the central government over local government. New Zealand is unusual in its constitution in that it has a unicameral parliament. So we're a very slimline democracy, and local and regional government does provide a certain amount of checks and balances. But it seems to me that these checks and balances are going to be bulldozed out of the way in order to achieve more government control. That's my concern about it. And there's also an assumption of continuing change, continuing reorganisation. That is good. Well, not necessarily. There's another point I'd like to make, and I've just seen this submission, and that is probably to make the point of Auckland exceptionalism that we have to live with, that Councillor Hulse has talked about, which again is not necessarily healthy. The Auckland Council was the biggest amalgamation in local government history in New Zealand. There was no poll. There was no choice. There was, however, a royal commission, which did set about investigating things and hearing submissions. But the council submission ignores the fact that the Royal Commission's scheme for Auckland was significantly different from what government ministers dreamed up and actually imposed on Auckland. So there was no democracy, no poll, no participation democratically of the people of Auckland, but we had a Royal Commission, and its findings, if you talk to Judge Salmon himself, were largely ignored.
I think you're
And
getting a
so
bit off the
that is,
point of the...
so I think we need to be note that fact. If you're going to go talk about Royal Commissions, you should be talking about that it was actually
Councillor
ignored.
Lee, I don't think you're getting further away with the Royal Commission discussion than what's...
Well, it's on the first line here, but anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
I've made my point,
Councillor
Mr.
Cashmore
Chairman.
wishes to speak.
I think I agree with Councillor Holtz that there needs to be some recognition that the local government sector across New Zealand finds this to a large degree offensive, and I think they're quite right to do so.
Thank you. Councillor Cashmore?
Yes, just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, taking in mind what Deputy Mayor Hull said about the grumpiness down at the local government conference. Yes, there was some there, but this bill is looking at, and Auckland is an outlier from this bill, but this bill is looking at the balance sheets of their district councils and their ability to deliver the crucial infrastructure around New Zealand to help implement the things like the national policy on fresh water treatment. So you can upgrade the smaller towns' wastewater treatment plants and that sort of thing. So that's what this is aimed solely at, and Auckland is a little bit of an outlier, set up separately by statute.
Okay. With that, I'm going to put it. Those in favour? Aye. Against?
No.
Declare that carried. Hey, look, before we go to lunch, there's one here, the disposal recommendation report. Is there any?
Move it. I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Cashmore. Any discussion on it?
No.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declare that carried. Now, we'll come back after lunch for there's a couple of items, the rubbish disposal or waste minimisation issue. And, so we'll be down there till 2 o'clock, all right? Thank you. Adjourn till then. Thank you.